On this episode of Clinically Pressed, we are sitting down with one of the founding members. Still remember those early conversations on our Solve the World's Problem coffee hours that we'd have down at UWL.
Yeah.
Oh, those are memories. Early Wednesday mornings. But we're here with Kyle Boland. We are talking as the transition, depending on when we release this, is in process or has happened of turning Clinically Pressed into a nonprofit. Still maintaining the podcast side, but not quite to the extent that we originally started off with, but still providing information. But yeah, we're just really here to kind of talk about switching to a nonprofit and what that potentially looks like, and asking obviously Kyle to be on the board, being a founding member and him graciously accepting. So just kind of as a background, and I'll let Kyle kind of update just what he's been doing and where things are at. Lacrosse, been in lacrosse area for a while, the Coulee region. Went to school at UWL, played basketball for a couple of years, then left to go to chiropractic school down at Palmer, in Iowa. Then eventually made their way back up here to West Salem, opening up Coulee Health, where eventually we got connected through many random routes and things happening, and that's another story. It's always a fun one. But then, original founding member of Clinically Pressed, and along with doing chiropractic, doing functional medicine. And I'm going to stop talking and just kind of, if you want to give kind of an update on what you've been up to and what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. So, it seems like a lot of life has happened since then. It's kind of crazy to think about.
I see the Facebook memories, and it's like 6 years ago or something like that is when like the original episode came out, which is hard to imagine.
It is. It seems like so long ago. Like it shouldn't be that long, but then also in a sense, it's like, man, with as much stuff has happened in there, it's kind of gone quickly. And
through a pandemic where time went as slow as fast as possible, where who knows what time is anymore.
Right.
So
where are we even right now?
Right.
Yeah. It's a lot of life's happened. It's been good. I guess with where we're at now, the chiropractic side of things, with our services that we've been offering, we've been able to bring on an associate here. We've gotten 2 massage therapists that are here, able to just have a great team and be able to really deliver quality patient-centered care and just give a very good experience, and just provide the needed services to make people better, help them reach their goals. And with Erica's focus on pregnancy and in postpartum and all that, with her doula services, now she's in midwifery school, and that's been kind of our niche, I guess I would say, with that population, and starting there anyways, I guess, and it rolls into pediatric care, and then a lot of times, I'll see the husband eventually and that type of thing as well. But it's just been fun to grow, and like I said, just referencing, the team here, it's special, and I think that's what makes it unique in the services that we offer. So it's been good.
So kind of coming in that, our first question is, I have it worded as, was it a smooth transition joining the board? We haven't done a whole lot yet. had one meeting and kind of ironed out some details, but I guess maybe I'll switch it a little bit. And podcast has kind of gone up and down, and COVID kind of made things really difficult, and obviously, as we referenced, things just got busy for everybody. It's hard to get 3 extremely busy people together, and then one moved to Missouri for a while and whatnot. What was the interest in continuing to be kind of a part of it and being like on the board and helping move this forward?
Well, I mean, along the same lines of Coulee Health, I think it's a very cool partnership that we've got, and obviously, it's a unique backgrounds, unique skill sets.
Sure.
And I think that was very enjoyable. Just like you mentioned, even way back when we just kind of, before the podcast even started, just getting together and chatting, and the sum is greater than the whole of the parts, or whatever that quote is. Basically 1 + 1 + 1 doesn't equal 3 all the time.
Sure.
Like, it can be 4 or 5, so just to be a part of something bigger than ourselves, and collaborate with like-minded individuals, and try to help out the community, and not just making the complicated simple, but if we can kind of expand that now, I think that's an awesome opportunity, and just something that I feel very fortunate to be a part of.
Yeah, I think you kind of alluded to the next question I was going to have. We kind of went with making the complicated simple, and then we've kind of thrown this other bit on it through results that give back, and we're planning to offer some access, if you will, to just basic things for people that just need something to help get going, and then be able to hopefully help direct as for the best as we can, or navigate, maybe is a better word, through the different things, plus try and find some areas to give back through some grants and things that we're hoping to get up and running. But what do you see? Because I know I could answer this question for you, but asking you, what unique skills or experience or just knowledge and connections in the Coulee region, or kind of a unique aspect that you have, that you bring to what we're trying to hopefully ultimately do?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I don't know, I think that there's a lot of great people here, and I don't necessarily think that I'm any better than anybody else, but I don't know, through the stuff that we've done, through the stuff just being in practice here for almost 10 years at Coulee Health, just being able to meet as many different people as we have, and learn about different services and offerings in the area, just being open to information, and like, oh yeah, I've heard of that, but I don't know that much about it.
Sure.
And so learning more, so just I think that it's really neat to be able to help somebody, if I can help somebody myself, or like provide recommendations
Right.
there, or within our practice. But then if I think that it's a person would be better served being helped, sending them, oh, you go see this person, because they're really good at this, and
Right.
based on what you're looking for, like they would probably be a really good fit. And we have a lot of great services and offerings in the area, so I think it's pretty cool to be here and part of all that.
I think you also have kind of a unique aspect, just personal life wise, a bunch of very, very active individuals in your family, and just being able to see the different things and the different avenues in that way too, that I have a 20-month-old who's not quite there where we're gonna be able to see some of that stuff. I think that provides some unique insight as well.
Oh yeah, it really does. And some of the best friends that we have, and families and stuff that we've met, is just kind of organically through various different school events, or youth sports, and all those different things. And I don't know, I'm not the most outgoing person, so I don't feel like I'm out there actively trying to
Sure.
like make friends everywhere I go. But when you meet just good-natured people and down to earth and like interests and stuff, I think it just happens organically. And I don't know, I think most people around here are pretty down to earth and good people overall.
Fair enough. What have you seen? You just referenced, you've been in practice here for 10 years and seen a lot, done a lot of stuff, especially with your training with functional medicine, and just expanding, the multiple different ways you can look at things. What do you see as the biggest barrier or barriers in people trying to get to that, next level of healthy or fitness or activity or whatever it may be?
Yeah, that's a great question.
A little bit of a big question.
It is a big question. I mean, it is a big question. The functional medicine side is definitely, I feel like, growing in popularity. I think everybody is, especially like we talked about, given the last couple years, like more aware of their health, I guess. Or I think it's at least on most people's radars, whether or
Sure.
not where it is on that priority list for them. But you know, the idea of not just putting up with symptoms or just covering them up is like, okay, well, why are they here? And let's try to figure out why and figure out a root cause and what can we do about them, you know, as more of a well-rounded approach. You know, going back to your question, I think one of the biggest challenges is, like, for me, everybody's busy. Everybody's very busy, you know, and I'm no exception to that. So, you know, just looking at my own life and seeing that with a lot of the patients and stuff, you know, you got kids or, you know, a job, obviously, and like this and that. Like, there's a lot on people's plates, and especially, you know, when you compare it to, you know, maybe 50 years ago or something, I think that there's just like, if there was any more room on the plate, we're definitely using it, right, you know. Right. So just trying to be able to sift through all that and figure out, okay, what are your priorities and how do you, you know, fit that into that busyness of your life, whether that's, you know, kids or work or, you know, that type of stuff. You know, personally for me, you know, when you have a job in the morning to go to, and then you get off work and you got to run kids around here and there and whatnot, and then by the time you finally sit down to eat or, you know, brush your teeth and go to bed, then it's like, well, where's that me time in there, you know, and how does that, you know, fit into your goals and your priorities and stuff. And I think just stepping back and looking at that, step one, you know, and just being aware of that, and then just, okay, having a plan, and whether that is something that a person can work through on their own, or whether they, you know, work with somebody to help them, you know, whether that's to get it figured out, you know, to provide recommendations, to just have an accountability partner. But I think that's all very important. But yeah, then within that plan is like, okay, what are some, you know, starting off with maybe just one or two things that you can do to kind of put in there. And, you know, in a person that's got a very hectic schedule, and if it's, you know, dietary things that is a challenge for them, maybe it's as simple as having some healthy snacks that they've got, you know, in their glove box or in their pocket or purse or, you know, whatever, that it's always going to come up. We're not reptiles that can go a week without eating. You know, like, people get hungry. And so when you get hungry and you're on the run and you don't have like a quality meal, rather than, you know, stopping at the quick stop and, you know, getting a hamburger that sat there for 3 hours or whatever, you know, just having something that can satiate you yet, you know, fit within your goals dietary wise. I think that would be a great place to start for many people, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. Another one that kind of comes to mind is obviously fitness wise, you know, incorporating that in. You know, a lot of times people don't know what to do, and we've talked about this over and over again, and just trying to simplify like this thing that gets like, it becomes so complicated and everything. Of paring that down, and okay, what movements do you like to do? Because you have to like it, or, you know, you're gonna be doing it for a few weeks and it's not sustainable. So what do you want to do, you know, besides just get fit? Because for me, I could get real fit probably if I bought a Peloton and did that. Personally, that's not my idea of exercise, and it's not going to be enjoyable for me, and I don't think it's going to be sustainable. And not knocking that at all, because people love it, and it's great for them if they do. But I like the street parking workouts. It's like a $20 membership or something a month, and it's just very. It takes a lot of the thought out of it. And I've got the background, I could program, you know, stuff, but I don't want to have to take that mental capacity to do that sometimes. So to have something that's programmed well, it doesn't take a lot of time to do the workout as well, you know, so you can get in, get your work done and get out and just move on with your day. You know, it's varied which is nice. I'm not getting sick of it
Right.
from day to day, and then also it's scalable too. So a beginner could do it as well as somebody that's pretty advanced. So I think that would be another easily implemented recommendation for me personally, not for everybody, but
Yeah, I think I've read, what's the best workout? The one that you're going to start and stick with.
absolutely.
And just,
Yep.
it's what works for you to start and stick with it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times people, from what I've seen with patients, is like they default to running. And again, no knock on running, because people, love running. It's a great movement and whatever. But I think I've seen a lot of patients that just want to get active and get fit. So they're like, well, I want to do a couch to 5K or something.
Sure.
Which is a nice way to get into it. Or other people, just start, but then they don't necessarily love running, but they don't know what else to do for that movement. So there's certainly other options out there. Running isn't bad though.
No, totally agree.
those
Yeah,
that-
it's its own skill, and that can be the frustrating part. You want to get fit, you start running, things start hurting and aching, and do I need to buy this shoe? Do I need this insert? Do I need any of it? And they just, as you said, it can get very complicated very quickly, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But as with anything, it's funny we're talking about running both not being run. I did my 1/2 marathon, and that was all she wrote for me. Kind of answer that question on a step or two people can take, so we'll kind of move to the next one. What is the best resource that you found for yourself that you might recommend, or if you would recommend something else to others, as just any kind of resource to find good information? You already referenced the street parking as an option, but is there anything else that you have found that you're like, yep, this is a great go-to for me, whether that's on the provider side or just the everyday human living, making the choices you have?
Yeah, I think that probably would be my recommendation, just because of the how comprehensive it is. There's a community there, and I'm not involved in that side of it. I'm not social media ish. People seem to love that though. And just kind of have that community aspect of it, from afar. They provide a lot of great dietary recommendations and that type of stuff too, which I think is nice for people to have, like ideas, because a lot of times people are like, oh, I know in general kind of what I should do or shouldn't do, but then like when the rubber hits the road and it's like, okay, let's put together a meal, and then they're just kind of like, well, nothing really sounds good for have what I know I should have. So
The choices almost become overwhelming.
yeah, and then it's just like they don't want to have like this just bland whatever.
Right.
And food can really taste good, so to be able to have like some ideas of like things that are easy yet still healthy yet still taste great, it's nice to kind of have all that there. So I don't know, I think it's crazy affordable, and I'm for the membership of that. So I don't get any kickbacks for that at all. I just think that it for the bang for the buck, I think that's a great resource. Just going back to just recognizing it, I think a lot of times the idea of fitness or health is great for people, but then we kind of reference this a little bit too, of being able to like implement that or have it on an ongoing basis. I think too seldom people don't assess their situation and what their goals are and what maybe has held them back, and if there's like deep rooted things there that they're kind of like always seeing some progress and hitting a wall, and then regressing, and then get some motivation and see some progress and hit a wall, and it's just like that motivation on a long-term basis isn't there. And so perhaps working with a health coach or some other professional to kind of help a person explore what those underlying barriers are and just ways to kind of like understand themselves more, and then be able to kind of use that to know, okay, here's what goals I have and here's kind of why, and then based on all of that, like the best way for them to kind of reach that. So I think you could have all the wonderful resources in the world, but if you don't really understand yourself and how you tick and why you want to get there, then those things are going to do a person no good, right? So it seems kind of boring, I think, for a lot of people to start there, but I think that can be incredibly valuable and have a lot longer lasting effect than this latest Fitbit or whatever. So yeah,
that makes sense. Last question, in what you do in your daily work and in trying to work with the board of directors of Clinically Press, how do you make what is complicated simple?
Well, I just think I made something relatively simple pretty complicated right there.
That's fair. Easier said than done, right?
Yeah,
right.
Very true. I don't know. I personally like to understand things, so I think that it's important that others understand things too. So I guess how to simplify things, I am a big fan of using analogies or kind of like stories to kind of like demonstrate or something that a person can relate to. So I think that's just the best way, whether that's in terms of more on the chiropractic side or fitness, those types of things, or on the functional medicine side. Analogy I use a lot is if you, now I got this one from Chris Kresser, imagine that, but
sure.
Say you've got like all these areas of your life that you need improvement on, and your diet's all jacked up and your fitness is not where you want it to be, and then you make this one little change, you're not as likely to probably see the impact as much. It's kind of like a dirty windshield,
sure.
Like if you have all the bugs on the windshield and you hit one more bug, you're probably not gonna really notice that. But if you can kind of clean that slate, and you clean your windshield and you hit one bug, and it's like, god dang it, but you notice it, and you can tell those change. So on the health standpoint, if you can kind of clean things up, and then those little things are going to stand out a lot more, and I think you can stay on top of it a lot better. So to bring that around to making complicated things simple, I probably just complicated your question even more, but I do think explaining in an analogy and just trying to help people understand things in a more simplified way, I know it helps me, so I think that can help people a lot of times.
Yeah, just to hopefully stay along with what you're doing, but it sounds like kind of getting down to that why and starting with why to better understand the whole thing. And like when you said you want to better understand things, well, if you can explain why and they can understand why, that can then help get them going to cleaning the slate and seeing the single bug.
Yeah, and I think it does help people to understand what's going on with their own body. There's certainly people that don't care, and they're just like, I just want to feel better. Honestly, I don't care. I want to move in.
Meet them where they're at and let them
totally
know.
Fine. Yeah, absolutely. But for the most part, I think people do want to know how it's their body, and they want to understand it, and it's important to do.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah.
Looking forward to getting this thing fully up and running, and we'll go from there.
Looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Thanks, Joel.